Should you ever consider going back to something that you've actually already thought about walking away from? A few things I'd like to point out, so let's get to it. How you doing, guys? Kitchen's a mess right now. We had a small fire yesterday, which pretty much closed us up for the day. Has anybody ever thought what the difference is between falling in love with somebody and being totally infatuated with somebody? Because at first, there's not much difference. They're virtually the same. Because the thing is, when you fall for somebody, the initial beginning of it is the infatuation of that person. See, when you're infatuated with somebody, you overlook their faults. You overlook their downfalls. Now, as it grows and goes into the falling in love with, you accept their faults. But the thing is, let's stick with the infatuation. The infatuation never ends, but it also never grows. So you find out when you're infatuated with somebody, as time goes on, it's one-sided. See, when you're in love with somebody, it's a give a little, it's take a little. When it's infatuation, it's a constant give, and they'll take. It doesn't necessarily have to be a toxic relationship, but it could be a very one-sided one. You could actually be with somebody who just likes the attention, which really for you may be no good because it's not going anywhere. In your head, you think you're having a relationship, but they're constantly taking. They're not really communicating with you, so you really don't know much about the person, and in your head you create a person that doesn't exist. Now, as time goes on, you start to realize this. Hopefully you start to see it for what it is. I mean, it may take a few weeks, sometimes months. In other cases, it could go on for years. You realize it's not going anywhere. So you decide to walk away. You call the person up and say, listen, I got to call quits on this. I got to walk away. They may try and convince you otherwise to stay. In some cases, some people will stay. But you may have given this a lot of thought and says, no, I'm done. I'm walking away. So you do. As time goes by, the person contacts you. They try to get you to come back because they like the attention. I mean, their idea of relationship with you may have been something totally different, but it was one-sided to begin with. You want no part of it. But depending on your situation, some people would say no. Other people may be going through rough times and they go back. But if they go back, the situation never changes. Not only have things not changed, but in a lot of cases they could be worse than it was before. Some years ago, Watchtower had a major purge. They went after any questionable witnesses in the organization because they didn't want their flock to be poisoned and drawn away. We all know the information about Watchtower that's come out into the open. And let's face it, we all know the numbers have dwindled. We've all seen the Kingdom Halls. We all know there's nobody there. And this is after they've merged congregations. What have we seen? We've seen empty Kingdom Halls. And this is not just in certain locations. This is everywhere. So in this recent past year, Watchtower had this incredible idea. They knew their numbers had dwindled to alarming rates. And at this time, they're not quite ready to discard the witnesses. So what are they doing? They're trying to lure former members back. I have not given much thought to this until recent weeks. I always said, no, nobody's ever going to approach me and try to get me to come back. But in the last 2 years, 3 years, it's happened twice. It happened about 3 years ago. I did record it and post it on my channel. And it happened again about 2 weeks ago. I was here at work and I had stepped outside and I had seen a familiar face. It was an elder from my old congregation who was handing a tract to somebody in the parking lot. I think, okay, he's going to finish up and he'll leave. No, he approached me. Now, I always got along with this guy, so I saw no reason to start a war. And he approached me about going back. He said to me, things are not going to get any better. I kept a smile on my face. I saw no reason to point anything out or start an argument. And I says, no, they're not. And he invited me to go back to the Kingdom Hall. Now, the reason I didn't say anything, he has about as much chance of pulling me into the Kingdom Hall, the same chance I have of pulling him out of it. He is just that gun-ho pro-witness that I wouldn't even bother. He's obviously knows what's going on, and if he's not seeing it by now, there's just no point in pointing it out. But this may have already happened to you. It's happened to many witnesses. But consider one thing. You may be going through some downtime. You may be going through some bad times. And this is when you're easy pickings for them to lure you back. Much like that ex that you broke up with, who you may have been depressed, and she came or he came to you and lured you back into this relationship that you had already given a lot of thought about walking away from, and you go back. But remember one thing. If they've approached you about going back to the Kingdom Hall, and if you are considering going back to the Kingdom Hall, keep in mind that the reasons that you walked away from the Kingdom Hall are still there. Nothing has changed. You may think things are better because of the first few weeks, things might be okay, but you still have to jump through hoops to get reinstated. The reasons you left are still there. Nothing has changed. They still haven't fixed the CSA problem. They still are doing heavy-duty mind control and those numbing meetings. What are you expecting? But they're expecting things are getting bad on the outside, so you may want to run right back on the inside. There is no more salvation inside the Kingdom Halls than there is outside of it. I think we all know that by now. Just a few things I wanted to point out. If it hasn't happened yet, it will happen soon. Anyways, guys, now that the holidays are over, man, this place is still smoky. Now that the holidays are over, I'll be out here a little bit more regularly. I'm not a big fan of the holidays, so I just kind of took a back seat over the last few weeks. Well, I'm going to kind of piece this kitchen back together and see what I can get going today. You guys have a good day, and I'd like to read the comments, and I'll be talking to you soon.